I got an acquired brain injury when my late wife worked clinical depression, got into our Land Rover with our bull mastiff dogs, which on a previous overdose I used emotional blackmail to say that it was licking her, trying to wake her up. So she said, I won't go into it too much, but anyway, I got a brain damage, and art was the way I first started making a gargoyle, because I felt I looked just the same, apart from my arm paralysed for a while. But when I talk to people and start telling them too much information, it was like I must look like a gargoyle, their reaction, yeah? Especially when they see my tattoos and everything else. And so really, I'll just get into the art, because even in a poem I thought it was like I kept trying different keys, but it was art that unlocked the door and set me free. And this is, the funny thing was, I like to sometimes do sculptures with found objects, and this was a mirror. I'd previously been to college and done fine stained glass work. Well, this was different, so I was scraping off the back and either putting gold foil or colour behind it. And when I was doing one scrape, it broke. And at first I thought, oh no, that's no good. And then I left it for a little while and I thought, but that's a bit like me. You know, I thought I was fine. I was working as a repairs officer in Hammersmith Council. We'd show out with Mastiff and, you know, go on holidays, and I thought everything was fine. But then when the wife died, it was like a break. And so I thought, it's fine having the break now. Let it come and work with it and just see it as a gap. And that reminded me of when we lived in London. You go on the tube and he said, mind the gap, you know. Be mindful of the gap and use it, you know, have a rest. So then, this is what I've been getting into. Actually, this painting, my late wife, I'd done that. Can't remember whether I'd done it in your studio or not, but anyway. And then, because I'm very into abstracts, or what we call phenomenological work, and then I saw a picture of my late wife in like a medieval dress that she used to, it was like not an actual medieval one, but like modern one. And it was that bluish grey colour. And then all the tears come, because I needed something abstract to get in touch with all the loss. You know, I couldn't just face up to it. That's why it used to be easier to actually push it back by using the bottle or whatever, yeah? And this is, again, this is using the paint in a very abstract manner, but then using tissue paper instead of stained glass over the top. And here's a triptych, which I'm just painting out all the anger and angst, because like when my wife died, at first the police didn't realise I got a brain injury. They thought I was lying, and they arrested me, and it went through a lot, and no apology at the end of it, just, okay, you're innocent. This is more settled, and actually, if you look very careful, you could see upside down the word love there. So I'm trying to get something a bit gentler into the work. Maybe not here. Because I haven't got any notes with me, have I?
No, you were just...
No, so I don't really...
left the notes behind.
I've left the notes behind. All I can say is that I just have the need sometimes to paint. I think it was last night, I went to bed, and after about half an hour I just thought, I've got to get up. I had to, I had in mind, I forget what paint, but 2 colours, that I had to get down on the paper, get my spatula, get my fork, cut one prong off, because I'm really into 3. And I sometimes scrape the 3-pronged fork through the paint, and let it out, you know. And that's why, like I'm saying, with the painting that reminded me of the dress of my late wife, that's what it took. I couldn't directly, in therapy or whatever, talk about my loss and have all the emotions of crying and everything else. But my subconscious mind had just done a certain shape in the colour, and that then was the key. You know, and that's sometimes it's even about unlocking things that go very much further back. Like,
can I remind you of something
yeah.
you did say? Because Peter and I have been working together for the past 5 years, and Peter's an artist in his own right. But what Peter hasn't told you is he's got a very, very short-term memory. So Peter won't remember what he's done between sessions. So I've sort of become his auxiliary memory and mind to help Peter keep making those links. So all the work you've seen, apart from the one that reminded you, Peter, of Tracy, was made Tracy, that's it, in the art therapy sessions, which Peter's been doing consistently with me. But you said that losing art would be like losing your mind, but that you're now trying to use your mind less and paint from the heart. That you describe your mind as the warden keeping guard on the heart to stop it from breaking into 1,000 pieces. And you said you're now working to let out all the anger, loss and tragedy, and this has taken 5 years of consistent art therapy.
Yeah, because it's like I went back, right to when I was nearly 3 years old, and me and my younger brother, who was a 3-month-old baby, our mother died of cancer of the brain. And our dad wasn't, this was 1960, he was just a factory worker that wasn't into emotions and everything else, so we moved in with an uncle and aunt. And we used to get beat, or especially me, quite big by him. And, I was very angry. I say, when I'm bigger, I'm going to beat you up. But unfortunately, there was a lot of guilt because he died when I was 16, so I wasn't quite big enough then to beat him up. But I was left with all the guilt that, I said at times, I wish you were dead, because he used to really lay into me. And, that's why I've been the exact opposite. I've got 2 wonderful boys, one who's just beat a battle of leukemia at the age of 13. And so I let the feminine out. I can, and I did in the past, when my late wife was alive, we had the bull mastiff guard dog. Because we lived in London, I used to go and do Shotokan karate with the Japanese guy. And I had the tattoos and I knew gangsters, but that was just an act. Do you get me? And I could play the act and convince people, but really I wanted to be, and this is what I'm getting in touch with. I don't know has anyone heard of Ho'oponopono? It's, yeah. And it's a Hawaiian word, it just means, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. And I was saying it in a little voice, in bed, so my boys wouldn't hear them. And I thought, that's like the little 3-year-old, yeah? So...
Yes, so if you want to carry on showing your...
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's a lot of struggle in my work, perhaps.
It's been very turbulent, hasn't it?
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in there. And gradually, the more work you've been doing, the more you're sort of trying to explore the feelings, which has taken time, but you've done these extraordinary paintings. This is the last one.
Okay. Oh yeah, that you can actually see. I don't know if anyone can see a figure diving through it. Yeah. Because I used to like it as a kid. When I was 5, or maybe when I was 6 or 7, my brother was 5 or 6. We'd be looking through in the bedroom at the shapes coming through the tree, on the shadows on the wall, and I'd tell him a story of what was going on. That's the greatest thing that we can use, that children have in abundance, is imagination, and society and business and everything takes it away from us and wants to tell us to think in a very narrow way and feel, This is what I'm saying, is sometimes you've got to not just think with your head, but what's your heart tell you. Thank you.
And just so you know, Peter won't remember any of this. So Molly's very kindly filming it so that Peter and I can look back over this, and that I will remind Peter that he's come here and given this talk, and let him know that he's